Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today, on today's live, we want to talk about what's going on with Nvidia as we get closer and closer to earnings. There's a big earnings report that's going to come out here in just a couple of days. Actually, the earnings report for Nvidia is going to be out just after the close of the bell on Wednesday. So 2 days from now, but at the end of 2 days from now, we're going to figure out where we are with Nvidia. And are we actually moving in the direction that we want to move? If you guys can hear me, give me a quick thumbs up to let me know that you can hear me okay. Hey, Willie Wilo's in the house. Good to have you. Brian, thanks for being here as well. Guys, just give me a real quick thumbs up so that I know that you can hear me okay and that my mic is working. And we got a good connection, I think, today. So that's great. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So earnings report coming out in just 2 days. And I want to focus a little bit today on talking about two different tests that I think NVIDIA is going to have to face. And I want to talk about three reasons why I think NVIDIA may be poised to sort of take off and soar here after earnings. Now, nothing is guaranteed. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not certified as a financial advisor anywhere. I just have been watching this thing for quite a while, and I've been in and out the markets for quite a long time in terms of years and years and years and years. And so that's it. But I'm not an expert. I don't want to claim to be an expert. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to tell you to buy NVIDIA. I'm here just to tell you simply, here's some things to think about if you're on the cusp, or if you're thinking about maybe investing in even some more shares and maybe coming up off the ETF route and go ahead and getting into the market in terms of the individual stock itself. So I just want to talk about these two tests that NVIDIA is going to have to face and some reasons why I think there may be a good chance that it could take off. Good to have you here. Let's see here. Can we get the Royals in the postseason? Yes. Thank you, Willie Wallow. Thank you, Nigel, for being here. Glad to see you from Winnipeg, Canada. Thank you so much. Renita's checking in from Austin, Texas. Good to have you, Renita. So first test that NVIDIA is going to have to, and by the way, guys, hit the thumbs up button for me. As you come in here, if you're viewing this on a replay, just hit the thumbs up. And also, if you're viewing this on a replay, feel free to drop a comment below as well on the replay. Now, the first test that NVIDIA is going to have to figure out, guys, and by the way, let me just kind of run over to NVIDIA today. Some of you that don't check the market, you don't care to check the market, you don't want to stay up on the market, you have it in ETFs and you're not worried about it. It took a slight dip today. NVIDIA's stock price went down a little bit today, as you can see, and ended at 126.46. So it went down, about $2.91 today. But over the last 5 days, we can see that big dip right there that we saw. But then we also have over the month, we know it kind of went down quite a bit back in early August, right? About 3 or 4 weeks before earnings. And it's kind of gone up since then. And this normally happens, and it happens to a stock like NVIDIA, who's had so many positive quarterly earnings reports recently, that you see as it gets closer and closer, the fever starts to kind of kick back in. And so we see that, and I think even tomorrow we'll see a little more as people begin to make decisions about getting back into this stock. And there's other stocks out there, guys. I know we talk about NVIDIA quite a bit, but that's because NVIDIA is like over the top, right, in terms of its growth. And so without digging too deep into the numbers and so forth, which we'll do in just a bit, but just want to kind of get a feel for where NVIDIA is right now, 126.46. I didn't check what it was trading after hours, but you can always check that out yourself, guys. But the deal is this, okay? The first test that NVIDIA is obviously going to have is its earnings, guys. It's earnings, earnings, earnings. And I've got a few statistics I want to kind of read off to you, at least look at here. NVIDIA is going to report its second quarter results for fiscal year 2025, which their fiscal years is off from what the actual year is, right? So their first quarter fiscal year 2025 was reported just 3 months ago. Now they're reporting second quarter. It's going to be, again, after the bell on Wednesday. And so investors are going to be looking for this very first test, which is earnings, revenue. What do the numbers look like? What do the numbers look like? Of course, there are going to be updates on the delays of Blackwell and all that. We'll talk about that in a bit. But analysts basically in general are projecting that its growth is going to be about 28.8 I think I read 28.6, 28.8 billion, right? Which would be more than double Nvidia's revenue the same period year over year last year. So they're talking about revenue being sales, right? Revenue is going to be double what it was last year when it was starting to get crazy. The other thing is net income is also going to be expected to more than double from a year earlier up to about 14.9 billion, right? So, and then there's going to be they do expect a sharp decline in EPS, and that's basically because of that 10-for-1 split. So that's not a worry or anything to really think about or trip on at all as well. But revenue is projected to be about 28.8. I think it's 28.8. Maybe I'm saying 28.6 or 28.8 billion dollars, right? No, it was 26 billion last quarter. They're expecting over 28 billion, closer to 29 billion this quarter, right? So they're saying that the growth in the revenue is going to be even higher than it was last time, right? Now, here in contrast, quarter two last year, 1 year ago, the revenue was only 13.5 billion, right? So they're talking about more than a double in 1 year, quarter to quarter. I'm sorry, a year over year from this time last year. More than double is what is expected, right? Let me put it like this: the net income of what they're expecting is almost 14.9 or 15 billion, and the net income was only 6 billion last year. That's net income, not revenue, net income. So that's some huge, huge growth, some huge expectations, right? The first test for Nvidia is it going to be able to live up to those type of expectations, right? The other thing is the data center has grown quite a bit, right? We know they're in crypto, we know they're in electric vehicles, we know they're in gaming, but the data centers, which is what powers the AI, that's grown incredibly, right? Because of a rapid demand in this advanced computing and AI stuff, right? So the data center revenue had reached a record high of 22.6 billion last quarter, all right? Last quarter. And they expect the revenue for the data centers to now be over 25 billion for this second quarter earnings report that we're going to see after close of bell on Wednesday. All right. Which would be a double in terms of data center revenue. That's what's pushing Nvidia right now, guys, is the data center revenue. The other stuff is great, fine and dandy, wonderful. The gaming and all that, great stuff. But what's really pushing this is this data center stuff. And the data center increases in revenue has been a big thing for them, right? So earnings, are they going to, here's the first test. Are they going to meet the expected earnings? That's the kicker. Can they live up to this huge bar they set for themselves? Right? This is what we're trying to figure out. This is the first test, right? Nvidia just continues to go up and up and up. The fundamentals, even though the stock price is hovering around 120, 115, 130, the stock price is hovering there, but the fundamentals of the company really hasn't changed, right? Remember, it went down to 98 bucks. Took a hit, took a licking, and kept on ticking, right? Old school, right? And we know that the stock is down a little bit today, not a big deal, a little over 2%, right? But it's poised to make a really big run. Man, I hesitate a little bit to tell you how big of a run that it could make. I kind of hesitate because I don't want you guys, if it doesn't, I don't want you getting mad at me if it doesn't quite do what I think it will probably do. Okay. I don't want you getting mad at me, but I kind of hesitate to say I don't want to get you too hyped up. Let's put it like that. I'm not trying to tell you to go out and buy it. I'm trying to tell you to really start thinking about what we're looking at here. Right. So second quarter earnings, will they live up to what the expectations are come Wednesday afternoon? Right? Revenue, net income. Revenue, net income. Data center revenue. Data center, those are the big ones to pay attention to, right? We know that black whale, we'll talk about that in a bit, but let's talk about the second test that NVIDIA is going to face. Now, the second test is really for us. First test is NVIDIA going to actually live up to its expectations? Test number two regarding this earnings report that we see. Are we able to manage our expectations and manage our risk? The second big test is for us as investors, retail investors, institutional investors, anybody that's putting money into NVIDIA as an individual stock. Are we going to be able to manage our expectations and manage our risk? Let's say top line revenue for NVIDIA comes out and it doesn't go to 28 point whatever, 28 billion. It goes to 32 billion. Whoa, huge. Outdoes expectations by a tremendous amount. Wow. What is going to happen? Are we going to be able to continue to manage our expectations and continue to manage our risk if we see that happen? Right? How are we going to respond to it? Right? So we have to make sure that we manage ourselves and our behaviors and our expectations for stocks, right? For the stock price, right? Very important, right? And we know that it's doubled and it's tripled and it's like, whoa, 300%, 400%. I'm telling you guys now, there's not very many comparable stocks in the last 30 years that has done what NVIDIA is doing. And this is why some of you might think, well, why is everybody talking about NVIDIA so much? Because I think I read and I'll have to maybe find it. I read something that said if you put $1,000 into NVIDIA in 2010 or 2014? Maybe you guys can find it for me. Was it $1,000 or 10,000? Let me see if I can find that stat, guys. The stat is really staggering. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. Yes, here it is right here. Here it is right here. $1,000 investment in NVIDIA in July of 2014, 10 years ago. A $1,000 investment in NVIDIA just 10 years ago would be worth about $261,000 today. $261,000 today. Now the multiples don't quite work, but if because of math, right? But if you put 3,000, you'd have almost $1 million, right? If you put $1,000, here it is right here. You put $1,000 in NVIDIA 20 years ago. 20 years ago, $1,000 in NVIDIA, you'd have over 1.4 million today. That type of growth is not normal, right? And so that's why you see the theory, the theory, is that the right word? You see the activity, the hypeness, right, around NVIDIA because of that. All right. So I say all that to say, as investors, we have to be careful to manage our expectations about the stock as well. All stocks have pros and cons. All companies are facing pros and cons, and all stocks and investments face risk. We got to be able to make sure we understand the risk and not just the hype, right? Keep in mind that NVIDIA has already made a lot of people millionaires, right? A breakout from here is sort of a late stage breakout because everybody's aware now, right? 5 years ago, everybody wasn't aware, right? So as everybody kind of turns their attention even more towards NVIDIA this week, we've got to make sure that we manage our risk and manage our hype, right? Now, in my opinion, I think NVIDIA has a really good chance to take off and soar following earnings, right? Just my opinion, guys. Let me see what we got in the chat. I kind of neglected the chat, guys. Hey, Mrs. Moore's in the house. Good to have you guys. Please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. I really would appreciate it. Let's see here. Anybody have any questions? Be sure to put a Q for me. Do I hold my shares? I'm worried it'll tank, especially with elections. Xander, here's what I want to tell you, Xander. Thanks for asking that question. And I know you asked it asked it a while back. But do you hold your shares? You got to ask yourself before you get into this whole investing thing, what type of investor am I? Am I in this thing for the short run with Nvidia or other stocks, or am I in this thing for the long run? If you're in this thing for the long run, then you don't panic. You don't say, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I put 10,000 in, it may drop down." It may drop down. But you got to ride that out. You got to go against your human nature, Xander. You got to go against your human nature and say, you know what? Okay, I'm in it for the long haul. I don't have to check it all the time. Let me just put a little bit here, a little bit there. Don't check it all the time. Let it do what it do. Let it do what it do. Right? The only thing it's going to serve you to be in there checking it all the time and getting nervous and worried, the only thing it's just going to cause a lot of stress, headache, pain. You don't need all that. If you're in it for the long term, which I suggest you are in it for the long term, my suggestion, I don't believe in jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out, jumping in. No, relax. Stay in it for long term. If you're in it for the long term and that's a part of your strategy, relax. Don't because when you get emotional and you start panicking and you don't get too hyped and you don't get too low. Relax right in the middle. Just chill. It's going to be okay, Xander. One way or the other, if you think that AI is going to increase and go up and become more of a thing and more demand in the next 4, 5, 10 years, then you're cool. Roll with it and don't keep checking it all the time. But yes, don't get nervous and sell. Please don't. Right? Please don't do that. All right. Just take your time, relax. Hey, from New York City, good to have you. Aurelius. I think I said that right. Yeah, it may dip down tomorrow because people are trying to shave something off the top. It may dip down tomorrow to 120 per share, right? Knowing its volatility, I wouldn't be shocked if it went down to 117 per share, right? But I'm telling you, there's an excellent chance of a great earnings report. And when you have a great earnings report, you see a stock price usually rise, right? It's already set a very high bar, like the Willie Wallow said, very high bar, right? Let's see here. I don't think so. Boom, boom. I still think he should cancel his news conference. Let's see here. Who's having a news conference? Did I miss it, guys? Jensen's scheduled to be on Bloomberg at 6:30 Wednesday night. That will be interesting. This is what I'm saying. So I'm going to do another show on Wednesday at about 7 o'clock after kind of the dust settles and we see what happens. And I have a chance to look over the numbers and look over what they came in at. When that happens, I'm going to actually jump on and 7 o'clock on Wednesday. It'll probably be 7:15, 7:30 on Wednesday. Because I got something else to do, but prior to that. But I'm going to jump on. We're going to have the conversation on Wednesday to sort of gauge where we're at and then gauge also what we think will happen with the market the following morning at the opening bell, right? So we'll be taking a look at that, guys. So a few reasons why I think NVIDIA has a good chance to soar, right? And go up, right? This just my opinion, right? Give me 1 second. Let me see what else we got here on the in the chat. Let me see here. Not much here. Okay. I'm just running through it, guys, and seeing what we got. So first things first, guys. I think Q2 numbers could be big. Okay, this is the first reason I think it could soar. I think Q2 numbers coming up here could do really well, right? I think the 28 billion that they're predicting, a little over 28, well, closer to 29, but 28 point something billion. I think that could very well go into the 29 or 30 range in terms of revenue, right? I think it very well could go above the expectations in terms of top line revenue, right? So it causes me a little bit of optimism because of that, right? First quarter was around 24 billion. And I think that there could be a plus minus of a couple of billion and take that 28.6 or 28.8 billion even into 30 billion. So we'll have to pay attention and look at that. I think that is possible. And not to mention, I think that their debt and all that stuff is still at really low levels. Their margins are really, really good. And I'd be interested to see how they do. That's one reason. Second reason, I think they have really, really good guidance. I like management from an NVIDIA standpoint. When I say I like management, I mean they're so forward looking with what they're doing, right? They're not one of these, they're not led by old school dinosaur type of leadership. I think they are very, very forward looking. And I think that that's going to bode well for this earnings report that's coming up. And it makes me really say, hey, when you think about Google, Amazon, Microsoft, what's another one? Meta, Facebook, right? All of these platforms, these are huge, huge customers of NVIDIA, right? And they've already said, all of them has said that they're going to be increasing their their jump into AI, artificial intelligence. They're building up their infrastructures, all of them. And they're all the customers of NVIDIA. This is the Max 7. These are 4 or 5 of the biggest companies in the world. And they've already said, hey, we're building up they're in a race to build up their AI infrastructure. And so if the biggest companies in the world are your customers and they're in a race to build up their infrastructure for what you have 60% of the market share in, that tells me that everything's going to be going up from here, right? And I was reading something. I think it was Google's chairperson, Google CEO. They said that something about the risk of underinvesting could be problematic for a company like Google, right? He said the risk of underinvesting is greater than the risk of overinvesting. So what does that tell you about Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft? It tells you that they're spending lots of money and they'd rather overspend on AI than underspend on AI. What does that mean? It means revenue growth, revenue growth, revenue growth, net income growth for Nvidia, right? If you own Nvidia shares as a single stock or even in an ETF, that's music to your ears, guys, right? When you got Google saying they'd rather overspend than underspend on their AI technology. Because why? Because AI is going to make them more competitive. The ability to implement AI is going to make them more competitive out here in the technology world. So they're looking to make sure that they can grow their business, grow their revenues, and guess what? In the meanwhile, they're going to be growing Nvidia's revenues and net income, et cetera, right? And they're going to become a great customer, right? The third reason I think that Nvidia could be poised to take off is this whole Blackwell delay, right? This concern about the company's inability to launch their Blackwell GPUs on time, and there's going to be some type of delay. Look, I've heard several places that whole thing that happened was sort of like blown out of proportion just a few weeks ago, right? And that there really wasn't a big delay or anything like that, but it was kind of blown out of with a company like Nvidia. You got to watch what people put out in the news, right? Because sometimes they're being slick, right? I think the biggest issue though is the uncertainty around that, but I don't think I don't think it's as big an issue as you may see it be made, right? People get afraid because of delays. I don't think that's a big issue because of that. Because that's not a big issue in my mind, I think it could also help bolster and boost the what we see in terms of the earnings report. I'm sorry, the stock price. I think the stock price will benefit from the fact that that's more made up and embellished than it really is, right? I'm not saying that there won't be any delays, could be delays, I don't know for sure, right? But I don't think that should be a big issue at all. Maybe a temporary delay, who knows, right? But the point is that those are the reasons really I think that we could see something really big happen on Wednesday. If this thing comes in at 30 billion, 31 billion, you're going to see that stock price go up. Always keep in mind though, you've got to manage risk and not get too hyped. Be the Tim Duncan of investing, meaning that you don't get too hyped, you don't get too down, you're right in the middle, you just chilling, right? Let's see here. If you're scared, just buy a semiconductor ETF. Absolutely, right? Van Eck offers a semiconductor ETF, and some others do. You can always buy a VGT or something that's heavy in stock, heavy in technology, 60, 70% technology. All great, right? The key is, though, I want you to understand that really, if you look at NVIDIA, it's a microcosm of a lot of different things in terms of stock picking, right? It shows you the volatility because it's a cyclical stock, right? It shows you a lot of volatility up here, down here, up here. It shows you incredible growth, right? It also shows you irrational exuberance because everybody's out here trying to buy it and being sheepish and oh, that's a best stock, great. And if you look at the numbers, it can explain to you very well revenue, net income, EPS, PE ratios, all of that good stuff, right? Free cash flow, debt to income, all this stuff. It'll show you all of those things. It's a wonderful, wonderful case study in terms of how to look at stocks and how to buy individual stocks. It also forces you to remain calm and not panic. So you can get a it also is a study in diversification. Maybe you should not have all of your money in one stock like Nvidia, no matter how much it's going and how well it's going, right? Yeah, I'd love somebody said I should invite Jensen Huang for an interview Wednesday. Man, I'd love to. Look, if I could get Jensen Huang on here for an interview, my goodness, wouldn't that be pretty sweet? Man, he says, "Oh yeah." If he comes on and says, "Oh yeah, Eric, hey, thanks, Eric. Yeah, me and Smart Money Bro, Eric, we used to hang out." All of a sudden, my viewership would go. We'd have instead of having 200 folks in here, we'd have about 15,000 in here, right? Or more, right? But yeah, DCA into it's always good. Let's see here. I'm buying a Jensen Huang leather jacket if the earnings do what I expect to do. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens here. So let's see. I've used NVIDIA graphic cards since early 2000. I'm a huge fan. I run SolidWorks on my workstation for my business. I prefer these over the AMDs. Okay, good, good. Thanks for bringing that up, Armando says, hey, I've been using, they sell good quality stuff, right? Everything I've read has always said it's good quality stuff. I have yet to read a lot of stuff about the problems with what they do, their products, right? Let's see here. So somebody says Spurs. Spurs was pretty good back in the day. Don't beat up my Spurs now. They were all right. So my thing about NVIDIA is this, guys. Here's my suggestion. Here's my prediction, if you want to call it a prediction, right? If I'm even qualified to give you a prediction. But I really believe that over the long term, because I do own Nvidia, right? I own a few shares of Nvidia, not a ton, but I own a few shares of Nvidia, and of course I own it in some ETFs as well. But my take on it is that I see Nvidia doing pretty doggone well in the next 6 months to a year. I'm not saying it's going to double and triple in 6 months to a year. I just see it on a forward upward trajectory. Now, here's the thing you got to keep in mind. It cannot keep outperforming these earnings reports, right? For a person who really believes, let you in on this. For a person who really believes in Nvidia or really believes in the AI market in the next 5 or 10 years, and you know how strong Nvidia has been, you really want to be looking for perhaps a quarter when Nvidia misses its target. Because a quarter when Nvidia misses its target means a slippage in the stock price, perhaps more than likely. And a slippage in the stock price means you can get in and buy the price at a discounted price, right? So since we all own a bunch of Nvidia today, we're saying, yeah, we want to see a positive earnings report. We want this thing to shoot to the moon. But every now and then you want to get yourself a not so great earnings report so that you could find a space in there, a little gap in there where you can shoot in and purchase them at a discount price. So maybe this thing goes to 175 by the end of the year. If it goes to 175 by the end of the year and you have quarter one of 2026 come around and they miss earnings and it drops back down to 160, that could be a purchase opportunity if you're a long-term AI investor, a long-term player, right? And I like it long-term, all right? Even though it's a cyclical stock, right? I like to balance my portfolio between cyclical, non-cyclical. Tech right now, tech is pretty heavy in terms of my individual stocks, but I my portfolio is 90% ETFs, 95% ETFs or more. Very few individual stocks, right? But we're starting to blow that up. Don't forget this, guys. Oh, hit the like button for me. Please smash the like button for me, if you will, please. I really would appreciate it, guys. Also, check out my partner, Mint Mobile, in the description box below. Check them out as well. Premium wireless services. I use them. You want to strongly consider using them. They're very expensive. Excellent customer service. Mint Mobile also allows you to keep your phone number as well if you want to switch over. Only takes a few minutes. Big fan of those guys. Also in the description box, you'll see a link to StreamYard, which I'm using right here. I'm a big fan of StreamYard. Been using them for four years now. Wonderful to use. Excellent to use. Let's see here. I'm looking a little bright there. Let me turn that off, tone that down a little bit. There's a few other things. Free 24 Laws of Money is in the description box as well. Please check that out. 24 Laws of Money. It's your free ebook from me to you. About 40, 50 pages of the things that helped me grow my money, et cetera, over the years. Any more questions in the chat? Let me see. I kind of jumped out way earlier, guys, of the chat. Let's see. I don't believe my 260 shares will make me millions, but if it triples by 2030, 260 shares, maybe it won't make you millions, but it might make you tens of thousands. That's for sure. Just don't know what it'll be, right? Let's see here. Market always dips. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, guys, September or December is traditionally on average the lowest, the month with the lowest stock return in terms of return on investments, the lowest interest. Still, it's the worst month to be investing in the stock market. Let's put it like that. Let's see here. Can't remember if it's September or October. And I think it's September, right? Usually is the worst month in the market. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Just reading through a few of the chats, see if we got any questions. Hey, Salt Lake City's in the house. Good to have you here, Salt Lake. Somebody said, I have NVIDIA's gaming monitor. Never disappoints. Hey, what can I say? That's another $300 billion industry where they lead is gaming, right? So, they're all over the place, guys. If you haven't noticed, NVIDIA is not just AI, by the way. Electrical vehicles, right? Crypto mining, you name it, guys. And of course, AI data centers, right? Yeah, Duncan was cool as the other side of the pillow. Didn't get too high, didn't get too low. That's the type of investor you need to be. A Tim Duncan of investing. Absolutely, guys. Somebody said NVIDIA to the moon. Could be. Yeah, that phone actually works. I got a landline, believe it or not. And it's antique, but it works good. I think it was an office phone a year because it has volume. It's got a lot of different bells and whistles on it. If the bells and whistles from 1985 are on that phone, right? Let's see here. Somebody said I'm bullish. We'll see what Jensen Huang has to say. He's going to be addressing. By the way, if you are a stockholder of NVIDIA, make sure you listen to and then listen. Not only do you listen to what he has to say, but you also want to go and check the 10Q, right? You're going to read all the articles and all that good stuff online, but feel free to go out and look at the 10Q itself. When you look at the 10Q, you're going to be looking at revenue, you're going to be looking at debt, you're going to be looking at net income, you're going to be looking at, I mean, you can look at EBITDA, you can look at all different types of things, guys. But you got to decide what fits what you want to look at. I don't look at every single number out there, right? There's a bunch of numbers that are out there, right? Return on this and return on that. I like to look at a little return on equity, like to look at that, right? But and then you have to always take these tech stocks in terms of their earnings per share and PE ratio. They're always a little high in the tech space, like we said before, guys. But let's see. Do you think Jensen is nervous before earnings? I don't think so. The guy's been around a long time. He's 30 years into this, guys. He's not a rookie. He's been here before. I mean, does he care? Does he care? Yes, he cares. But he's not going to panic if they come in way under earnings. It's not a panic for him. Right? Matter of fact, he's going to be fine one way or the other because I think he runs a tight ship. I like what he does in terms of the company. The thing about NVIDIA is they're very forward looking. As a tech firm, you have to be that way, obviously, right? But they're just out front. They're poised to stay out front for a while in front of all their competitors, guys, right? They're going to be out there. They're not some company that's going to, slip, and I don't believe they will, based on everything I've been reading about them for the last couple of years, right? So one thing you got to keep in mind, though, a couple things you got to keep in mind is they're calling for a over $28 billion increase in revenue, right? But I'll say this. What happens if they're on target, right? If they're pretty much right there, 28.4, 28.5, 28.6, right on target, not significantly low, significantly high, right? How does the market react to that in terms of the share price? Is something that I'm going to be very interested. We're going to talk about this on Wednesday evening a little more in detail, but we'll talk about, because at that point we'll know for sure, right? But we'll talk about what's going to happen on Thursday in terms of the opening bell, and then what's going to happen over the next week or so. We can't predict it for sure. We know that, but we can at least have a better feel for what's going to happen with the market if they actually hit the target, right? Let me read through the chats here real quick. Always keep in mind there could be some volatile trading happening right after earnings as well, right? Great earnings report. Oop, it goes up. Boom. Everybody starts selling. It takes a dip, right? And so be careful about that volatility right after. Just wanted to say that as well, guys. Let's see. We got anything else? Oh, guys, we got to get the chat. Come on. We have to get the likes up. Come on. The least you can do is tap the thumbs up button. That's the very least. But don't jump in and jump out and dart in. Don't treat me like you treat the stock market. Come on, guys. Don't do me like that. Don't treat me like you treat the stock market, right? You jump in, you jump out. Oh, it's nothing. Let me get out of here. When you jump into this live stream, tap that like button for me. Go ahead and tap the like button. Right? Don't treat me like a stepchild. Hit once you jump in, say, oh, okay, good information, good. Chat's rolling. Check out the chat as well, guys, and hit that like button for me, if you will. I really would appreciate it, guys, right? So I don't want to belabor the point. I just want to do a quick video to say, listen, here's what you got to be thinking about as we get close. There's going to be a test. The big test is obviously, is NVIDIA going to be hitting their target numbers, right? What the analysts are saying. Are they going to hit the target numbers or not? Please, please, please pay attention to Wednesday afternoon, 4:30. I don't know what time they're set to release earnings, but it's going to be after the bell, right? Please, please, please be careful to understand. And before earnings report comes out, do a little homework. I told you the big one is obviously revenue, net income, but net earnings, but revenue is a big one, right? Revenue, debt, those are big ones. Let's see what happens. But the second test is our test. The investors who may have 20, 30, 40 shares, 150 shares, 5,000 shares. What are we looking at? How are we going to react? Right? How are we going to react? That's going to be the big test. But I think But I think, again, three reasons. I think three reasons you need to consider this stock. Big time quarter two, quarter one numbers, I think is going to translate to big time quarter two numbers. Superior leadership. Superior leadership. Superior products. Superior delivery. Superior what's coming up next. Forward thinking. Superior as a company. Right? In this whole space of gaming, AI, you name it, data centers, Blackwell, superior, right? Not to mention, its customers are willing to spend a ton on AI. Not just willing to spend, let me say it a different way. Their customers have the money to spend a whole lot on AI. The 4-5 biggest companies on the planet Earth are Nvidia's customers who are willing to overinvest rather than face the problem of underinvesting in AI. And when your top customers are the largest 4 or 5 companies on the planet and are willing to overspend, right? I mean, think about it, guys. That's like me saying, I got a company that makes footballs, and the NFL and the CFL are willing to overspend on the footballs I make. Well, guess what? I'm a company you may want to think about investing in because in the next 10 years, I'm about to blow this thing up. There ain't another customer within 2 or 3 miles of me, right? And I'm killing the game because all of a sudden they want way more footballs to be produced than I usually produce, and the demand is crazy and they're willing to overspend, and I'm the main company out here with 60, 70, 80% of the market in making footballs. You might want to look at me for the next 5 or 10 years. This is what Nvidia is, right? But the third thing is that the whole Blackwell delays, and I think that's overblown, right? I think it's overblown. I don't think it's a nearly as big an issue as they tried to make it out to be, or try to make it out to be, right? That's my suggestion. That's why I say, hey, Nvidia stock will be tested. This is urgent because you only got 2 days. You got 2 days for this thing may skyrocket and start soaring. 2 days to make a decision, right? Do you buy more of the ETF that you have it, VGT, whatever it may be, even if it's VOO, right? Or do you actually buy more of the individual stock, or do you just dollar cost average like you have been and you don't trip on all this stuff? You don't get too hyped, don't get too low, you just dollar cost, or do you stay out of the market? Is there anybody in here? Raise your hand, guys, in the chat if you do not own Nvidia anywhere as an ETF or as an individual stock. I'm just trying to see something. I'm just trying to see what we got, guys. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you own it. Give me a thumb down if you don't own Nvidia. If you can do a thumb down, I don't know if you can do a thumb down. Say no in the chat if you do not own Nvidia anywhere at all. And then say yes if you actually do own Nvidia somewhere, individual stock, ETF, what have you. I'm just trying to see what we got here. I'm just trying to see something. Let's see here. Okay. Good. Gotcha. Boom. So John said August 28th at 4 p.m. is the Super Bowl of the stock market for me. I ain't mad at you. Get your popcorn ready. Yes, we'll be on here. We'll live stream at 7 p.m. On Wednesday for sure. Let's see here. Watching from Texas. Royals are doing good. Yeah, believe it or not. Let's see here. Art of War, thumbs up. Let's see. John, 14,500 shares of Nvidia. I ain't nowhere near as mad at you. Mrs. Moore, somebody anonymous. We got a bunch of people with a bunch of thumbs up. Yes, and thumbs up. Good. Okay. Kim said, nope, thumbs down. Gotcha. So most folks in here Walla with a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Not sure what that means, but I'll take it. So most folks in here, I would say most, do own some Nvidia. We got some, yep, we got some more thumbs up, some yes, heavy on the yes. Okay, yes, sir. Good. Bunch of us own Nvidia. So this is relatable to what I'm saying, guys. This is relatable. When Nvidia comes back on Wednesday and they say, our earnings report, our Q2 earnings report for 2025 Q2 is yes or no. We're going to have that conversation and we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Right? So be prepared for that. Come on back and join me on Wednesday at 7 p.m., 7:15 p.m. It might be 7:15 p.m. Come back and join me on Wednesday. I want to have that conversation. I want to see what happened. Maybe we'll go through the 10Q. Maybe we'll go through what was said, some interesting points. We'll check it out. So come on back and visit me on Wednesday. Also, check out some of the other videos on the channel as well. Investing videos, money management videos, you name it. We talk about a lot of stuff on the channel, not just Nvidia, but we certainly do that because we want to help people who are new to investing, right? We want to help people who are, kind of intermediate to brand new with this wealth building thing, and they want to use their ability to invest their money to grow their money in the stock market, and they want to do it in a way that is wise. Not a way that's, hey, I'm going out and buying 1,000,000 shares of Nvidia and I'm getting, no, I don't do that. I like to see the pros, the cons, and I'm more of a conservative investor, but I like to give you things to think about along the way in your investment journey, guys. Okay. So I appreciate you being here more than you know, Robin, Ibrahim, Jay, Tom, Willie Wilo, King, Marquis, Steve, R. Lewis, Kiran, Art of War, Anshul, I appreciate you. Mrs. Moore, Walla Mala, Christian, Brian, you name it. Nigel's in the house. I appreciate you guys more than you know. You got to hit that like button for me, though. Smash the like button for me. It's really important as you get out of here, guys. So, also, if you're watching on replay, drop a comment below. I'm more than happy to go in and help you guys. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We will see you on Wednesday, after the close of the market. We'll see you back in here, guys. Appreciate you being here. As I always say, the absolute best person to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, thanks so much. Take care of yourself and take care of other people. Till the next time. Peace.